Hello, welcome back to the channel, Flesh to the Father. Today's video I'm going to be asking, is going to church satanic? Now the reason I do this video and the reason why I have titled it as such is because this is a mistake I see Christians always making when discussing Hinduism and Buddhism and Eastern spiritual traditions. And the mistake that they make is that they compare Eastern spiritual wisdom to New Age philosophy. And they always claim things like meditation, it could be satanic and all this other stuff. Whereas if you actually look deeply and study and learn about it, you'll understand there is true spiritual wisdom in Eastern spirituality and in those religions or in those spiritual practices. And what has happened is a New Age sort of hippie stuff has sort of corrupted true spirituality. So instead of having normal meditation and normal spiritual wisdom, you have all this new agey fake meditation and, channeling, tarot cards, and all this stuff that could be somewhat nefarious and false spirituality. And I think it's doing a disservice to those traditions and a disrespect to those traditions to treat them that way that a lot of Christians do. Not all, but a lot of Christians have a very shallow view. They haven't really looked into it and they just criticize it because it's not their ideology. And a lot of Christians are actually paranoid. If you don't believe in Jesus, then you're going to hell, blah, 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 blah. And they've lost all reasonable critical thinking and spiritual discernment. And it actually reminds me of how Muslims treat Christians in our modern Western countries and how Muslims do Christians a disservice. And Christians should actually learn from this as to how they should not treat the Eastern traditions in such a disrespectful way. Because one thing you'll always hear the Muslims say about modern Christianity in the West is they'll say, Christianity isn't the answer. Look at all the, non-straight priests. Look at all the modern churches promoting degeneracy, of which there are, and they all have, for example, non-straight pastors and priests and congregations and people who are confused, shall I say, coming into church, teaching and parading around. And obviously that has absolutely nothing to do with true Christianity, and it's sort of like a corrupt version and a false version of Christianity. And when Muslims try to say that they criticize Christianity, they're not really criticizing true Christianity as such. They're criticizing this fake, modern, progressive, liberal version of Christianity, which is not true. And it's disingenuous for them to sort of make out that that is Christianity when the most normal churches do not engage in such false, shallow versions and rubbish versions of Christianity. And so when the Christians will say things like meditation is satanic or could be satanic if you do it in the Eastern tradition way, they're really talking about the New Age. But it's like the title of my video. It'd be like the Muslims saying going to church is satanic because you've seen on some YouTube video of one tiny church where they're promoting nefarious agendas, shall we say, because I'm on YouTube. Yeah, but if someone was to say, oh no, you should stop going to church because the church is satanic, it's ridiculous. It's a false equivalency because most churches are normal and basically Bible teaching churches, or a lot are if you go to a proper good church. And I think that's the lesson for Christians to understand, is that when you ignorantly criticize other faiths or Eastern traditions without really studying and having a deep understanding of how they work, it's the same way that how Muslims criticize Christianity. And if you are a normal, good practicing Christian and they're accusing you of being some kind of, progressive, all that nefarious type of Christianity, you'd be offended and you say, come on, this is not true Christianity. You're making a mockery. It doesn't make any sense. Well, in the same way, you're treating those traditions in a disrespectful way, and you probably need to study it. Now, if you actually studied and learned it in a deep way and then made proper criticisms, that would be acceptable. But you don't. Most people are just ignorant and make bad arguments. And I do think one thing I've learned about the Abrahamic religion, especially Christianity and Islam, is there is a lot of paranoia. And, Christians accuse almost everything of being satanic when, if you just look at Christianity, the very concept of Christianity in itself is probably the most satanic religion of all. You're talking about God who sent his son as a sacrifice. And then even says in the Bible or in Catholic traditions, Jesus says, eat my body and drink my blood. Now, is that not the most satanic religion or satanic idea of God sending his son as a sacrifice? That's exactly what Baal and all the Satanism practice. Okay, so the point of my video today is to tell people to be a bit more open-minded. Don't be stuck in a religious dogma. And if you're Christian or Muslim, try and escape paranoia. I think the problem with those religions is they have a false understanding of Satan's role in this world. They have this idea that he's a rebel and that he's completely evil from the beginning and he's not serving a purpose for God. Whereas the way I see it is that everything in this creation is under the control of God, and God has a reason for it. And it's just a part of this world why Satan is evil, or why Satan has his role to do. Just as, in a way, if you had a film, the director would cast an evil character, but the person playing the character is not necessarily evil. He's just playing the role of an evil person to add to contrast, because if there was no evil in the films, it would be boring. And if there was no contrast in this world, it would be boring and there'd be no need for this world, because in the spirit, everything is perfect and light. And the whole point of this world is for there to be contrast. And you have light, you have dark, you have hot, you have cold. And for us to know God and Christ, we need to know the opposite. And that is Satan's role, is to provide the contrast in this world. Okay, and that's the point of my video today. Let me know if you have any comments in the comments section below. Subscribe if you're a new viewer and you like the videos. Like it if you like it, and God bless everyone. Goodbye.